Okay, so what I want to try to do is cover some other issues that are evident due to age and use with the e-brake in the SRT4. Alright, so let's just per se that you're having problems with your e-brake. Now these have a disc drum setup in the rear. Alright, there's a disc here which is your normal braking, and this is actually a drum. So there's brake shoes inside of there. They look like this. Okay, these get old and these pads actually separate. Some of these are bonded. This is what they call riveted. Bonded means they're glued. You won't see these rivets. So the compound is actually held on there, the brake pad compound. Alright, so it takes 2 of these per side to do that. Now they're actuated by the cable, which here, alright, you lift this brake, it pulls on the cables, and it actually spreads those shoes, and they spread apart and they push on the drum. Okay, now let's say you have those all replaced, you got them adjusted out. Basically, if you look them up, there's a little adjuster on the bottom in the middle on the back side of these. Alright, you spin that. You can do it when you're doing the shoe. If you're having new brakes, new rotors, and you're putting them on, you'll be better. The newer on a brake, I don't know if this will work. Here, hold on a second. See if we can get anybody to freak out about this. Okay, so this is you have the inside of your drum. Alright, now you're looking at that surface. Now we're going to basically take and look at this surface here. Alright, so let's say we're looking in there at this surface. There's going to be an area in a used drum where you're going to see no different than when your rotor is. You're going to see a spot here. This is where the wear is going to be. Now, depending on how much wear there is inside there, there's a spot where this does not contact this metal. So there will be rust along this edge, and it will be built up. Alright, depending on that, you might want to grind it off. On a simple rotor, if you get down in here and you look, this is probably not the best lighting. Let me see. Yeah, not the best lighting, but you can kind of see right here, from here up is where the surface is, and then there's a lip here. So when you're sliding your rotor over those pads, that lip will catch. So you might want to grind that off a little bit with a grinder, and then you can reuse your rotor if you're not replacing them. But let's say you have them all in. That's good. You have I adjust them so that when I'm putting the rotor on and I'm spinning the wheel, it'll still spin freely, okay, with the brake released. That's what you want. Now, all this is going into the fact that you've checked your e-brake cables right here the whole way back through to make sure that there's no damage in them. There's no damage on the ends, and they are free moving. See how they move free? Okay. So let's say that's fine. You got everything adjusted up. You're still getting too much upward pull on your e-brake before they catch, and you're like trying to figure this out. Alright, so I actually removed the passenger seat to kind of try to show this to you. But what happens is basically down here in the floor, let's go on the other side, I'll finish it. Okay, so here I'm giving you this view. Alright, so here's your e-brake handle. This is kind of hard when you're not over there. Now if you look here, let's get this. I don't know why there's masking tape here. Somebody must have something going here. I'm not sure what this is. I don't think that's factory. At least it shouldn't be. That should not be there, I don't think. Alright, so what if you look at this, you can see this part here? This is actually part of the car. Then if you look back through here, you can see a piece of metal. This strip here that's pressed runs the whole way up through. Actually has this wire going into it. This runs all the way up underneath the shifter. Alright, and what happens is this plate right here is spot welded to this, okay? And the very bad part about this is all of your fasteners that connect, even for this and the shifter and everything, are all mounted in this top plate, not down in this lower plate. Now, the only thing that holds this plate onto here that these bolts are in, that these are bolted to, is a couple small spot welds. All right, so this one here is actually starting to break across the front. Right here, you can kind of see how it's higher. I'll try to push down on the shifter to close that area up. All right, see how we close that up? I can't get my finger in here now. What happens is these spot welds here, underneath here, and over here on this other side, which I can show you. When you pull on this, see what happens? You're moving that whole plate. This one's not that bad. It's just starting up here, but you can see what happens is we end up pulling on that whole floor. All right, and then now it's up. So then you end up with a higher, this ends up coming up. It ends up interfering with your center console. It'll rub the center console because it's not even. It's up higher, away from the center console when it's down in there, because it's supposed to be down there. All right. So let me pop some of this stuff out of the way. All right, so I removed the airbag module, which that's what this is. Have it unplugged. Okay. This right here, this is actually a spot weld. All right. So you'll be able to see those across here. Like I said, you can see this more now, how much this is actually moving, because the spot welds right here actually came separated. Now, you can fix this multiple ways. I've used these right here, okay, just little self-tappers. I try to get large ones. Now, remember, when you are running these in, that when they start to pull down, you do want to have this pushed down, okay, so that it's tight against. But when you're pulling these down in, there's not much thickness here of metal. There's this thickness, and then there's the thickness of that there. And when you pull these down in, if you keep running your drill or your impact or whatever you're using, it will actually strip out the hole, and then it doesn't hold. So that's another thing. Like I said, just be careful when you're running them in. I try to run them in a couple places here, you know, anywhere. Over in along here, there is a couple spot welds down in here. I've actually hit these, and I've removed the e-brake handle itself and got some under here. Now you can do that if you want. You could weld, but welding inside your car, you have the carpet and the seats, and splatter could hit your windshield on the inside, so I wouldn't suggest that. You could drill holes through this, run small bolts with washers up through, and put some nuts on the top. That would work, and that will all stop this floor from flexing. So you can see how much this moves around, just sliding this side to side. You know, because there's play in here. So if you get the washer and it reaches out to these outer edges, that will tighten all this up. I'll see if I have something here quick. I'll run some of these screws in, just so you can see how much of a difference it makes having it screwed in compared to not. All right. All right, so what I did is I lifted this up and pushed down, just so it gives me room to run the drill. All right. So what I'm going to try to do is get 3 evenly spaced across here. Okay. Making sure that I don't over torque them down and strip them out. Alright, so you can see those here, and this is what I want you to see, is watch. See how much tighter that made my floor? you can actually see I have movement back here now. So it's pushing that down. So come back here. And I'm going to go here. Alright. Hopefully I can get that in here with this gun. I don't have the best stuff with me today because my other tools are somewhere else. I just don't have my drill and my extension out here in the shop. So, alright. So we now have that anchored down. You can see, look at that. We're eliminating a lot of movement that's in the shifter here, okay? That's in the floor itself. Anywhere there's spot welds, like I said, try to put some down into here. I'm just doing this as an illustration because this car is going to be for parts. But I took this opportunity to be able to show you guys how to take care of play in the e-brake handle. You know, if this was a car that you were driving and you had already taken care of all of the other brake problems, this would be one of the last or one of the first things you could try. This is always something to check. You'll know if your handle doesn't go down the whole way. It wouldn't seat down nicely into your center console and be up higher. You would know that. If you know that your e-brake is, when you pull it, it doesn't do nothing. It kind of takes away from the leverage of what this handle is supposed to give you. It is kind of funny because if you look down through here, there's actually holes here. I mean, you could probably, you know, if you wanted to, run a hole down through that and then nut it on the bottom and then nut it on the top, and that would even support this handle even more than what it is already. But they're a little hard to get to. But like I said, if you remove this, you can get down in here and actually put 2 studs down in here. Now remember, this will be a little bit of a challenge to get on. I use channel locks to get those, but I mean, you know, that'll fix your problems. So there's another little quick fix for an SRT4 here. Let me know if it helped you out. Comment, subscribe, share. I do have videos on how to install the rear brakes separately. I've done them. I've done videos on replacing the e-brake cable itself. Both videos I will put in the description link underneath the video. So if you find this video before you find them, you'll be able to go back and check them out if it's something that you want to do as far as installing the brake shoes on for your e-brake or the cables. A lot of the aftermarket cables that are available for these cars do not work very well. So I would say try to find one used. Would probably be your best bet, or maybe OEM from the dealer. I don't know if they're still available at this time or how long they were. So, see yous. Till the next one.